in 2012, I was on a really short flight from Orlando to Pensacola. I'd been up all night recording. I was exhausted. The weather was bad. We got up pretty turbulent during takeoff, and then about halfway through the flight, the plane just started getting violently thrown left and right. And in that moment, I had my first panic attack. People who don't deal with anxiety and panic don't understand how ruthless it actually is and how terrifying it can feel. Every day on tour, I would have panic attacks. So I came home from that tour in a completely new environment that I'd never been in, and everything in life felt foreign. I didn't feel like I knew myself anymore. My wife and I decided to buy a house in Tennessee. We were like, we want to settle down, get out of the city, and buy our first home. And so we found a house, bought it sight unseen, moved down here, and right when we moved here, I started therapy at Refuge. I knew it was time. I learned that panic attacks are not named correctly. It shouldn't be called a panic attack. It should be called a false alarm. You're getting a false alarm, but it feels just like God designed a real alarm to feel. I realized that the more that you learn about anxiety and the more that you learn about depression, the less scary it becomes. Anxiety and depression in my life, it wasn't just about that flight. It was more deeply rooted in a lot of things that were unaddressed from my childhood. And being able to dig into those things in EMDR and actually process them for the first time in 20 some odd years was life-changing. If you were to get up on stage and say, I have high blood pressure, everyone would be like, oh, well, you should get some medication, right? Or I have a broken arm. They're like, well, you should get a cast, right? Everybody understands that when your stomach is sick, do something about it. When your lungs are sick, do something about it. When your bones are broken, do something about it. But when your brain is sick, whoa, don't tell anybody. You know? That's so wrong. Your brain can get sick just like any other part of your body. And when it does, there are options. Everyone in your life that you know in any capacity, you feel like they need you to be something. Well, a counselor doesn't need you to be anything. You can go into your session and you don't have to be a husband. You don't have to be a brother. You don't have to be a best friend. You don't have to be the front man of a band. You don't have to be anything. You just are allowed to be broken. When we moved here and bought our first house, obviously a massive expense, we were just getting settled in and we didn't have a ton of money. So being able to utilize the sliding scale that Refuge has to say, this is what we make and this is what we can afford, and to get not just therapy for what you can afford, but state-of-the-art therapy. No matter what you've been through, you've experienced some sort of trauma in your life. And if it's finances that's preventing you from getting therapy, the Refuge Center solved that problem. Without counseling, I would not have been able to rise from my storm. I genuinely believed that I was in danger at all moments and always waiting for the next panic attack. My reality had become all of my worst fears. That reality could not have been unpacked had it not been for my sessions at the Refuge Center. Hope grows at Refuge because you can be hopeful when you're healing, and healing is what happens at Refuge.